y'all, and thank you, Optimus, for having me, and thanks for everybody, again, taking the time out of your already busy schedule to attend today. And I'm going to make sure to cover a lot of ground today. As you can see from the slide, our focus today is on Business Central primarily, as well as Dynamics Nav. And really what we're going to be covering is what you see on the slide is primarily reporting and analytics. And so really in a traditional world, a Dynamics ERP is a very effective way at storing information. And what we do is we just make it easier to get data out of that system. And so for those of you not familiar with JET or what we do, today is going to be a great eye-opening day for you to get a full experience of reporting and analytics. Let me move this slide here. The company Jet Global has been around since 2002. And so the company has always been a Dynamics company. We started in Dynamics Nav, and we've grown into much more than that. And so as a company, this slide was put together by our marketing team. But the two most important things for anyone on the call today is, number one, you can see that it's a trusted, vetted solution. It's one of the main reasons why your valued partner Optimus has chosen to partner with Jet, is it's proven over time and across a myriad of different industries. So over 14,000 companies use Jet all over the world. And we've been a Microsoft partner since 2011. They've actually asked us to create products for them, and we've delivered, and it's really led to us being the leading reporting and analytics provider to the entire Microsoft ecosystem. And so you, as a company, you've made an investment into the Microsoft technology. So I just want you to know the other important thing for you to take away is your investment is safe. Jet is been around for a long time. It's going to be around for many, many years to come. And so you can feel safe knowing if you choose to invest in a Jet product that it's going to keep and couple all of your existing investments and make it even stronger. As I alluded to drive better outcomes without spending so much time creating reports and allowing them to free up time to both analyze and make quality business decisions. The first set of information that we're going to go through and some of the trainings that I'm going to go through is in a solution called Jet Reports. And at its core, it's a live operational and financial reporting tool that delivers the information from your ERP into Microsoft Excel. And so for anyone on the line today who has experience with Excel, just know that you are actually already ahead of the curve. You know half of what you need to know. The other part is really just learning how the Jet ribbon, which you'll see in a moment, accesses your data. And at the end of the day, the reporting tool is how we got started. It's what Jet started with. And so again, we've grown into much more than that. We have a full analytics suite that we'll explore here in a little while. But the idea of copying and pasting or dumping information into Excel and manually manipulating it are a thing of the past when you're using Jet Reports. So I'm going to go ahead and open up our first example here. And so just so you can get a feel for what the Jet ribbon looks like, is it's truly just a bolt-in to Excel. It points to Nav or Business Central as the data source, and then allows a user to interact with the information and run reports without recreating them every month. And so this is one of our pre-built reports for Dynamics Business Central and for Dynamics Nav. And what it's doing is giving you a good sense of how we're able to use Excel to slice and dice and present the data. So what you can see here is we have companies in separate columns. We have our natural accounts in rows. And then what we've also done is use something called a sheet replicator to break each company out onto its own sheet and then allow one of our global dimensions or any dimension in Business Central or Nav for that matter to be broken out in columns as well. So it's a really effective way for a user to, again, slice and dice the data and then have a refreshable report that they use indefinitely. So there are two types of users within JET reports or JET analytics. One is a designer. And so think of a designer as someone who's created this report. And I'll show you actually how to create a report here shortly. But this experience that we're seeing is the other side, which is the viewer experience. So a viewer, when they see a report that's in Excel, they can choose to run this report live. They can run it in the background. They can also drill into the data. And when a report is ran, they can even interact with filters that have been built in by the report designer. So if we wanted to change the currency, what company we're looking at primarily, or one of our business groups specifically, you have the same operators available to you that are within Nav, so you don't have to relearn those, but the user now can interact with this. So if we run the report, it goes and grabs the most current information and then allows the user to view that data. When I drill into the information, we have two options available to us for drill down. One is actually opening up Business Central or Nav. So if a user has access to make changes within Business Central or in Nav, when they drill into the data, it will actually open up the client. So that allows the person viewing that information to make changes if they would like. The other option, which I'll show you here, is a grid view option. And what it does is it takes me immediately to the transactional information, brings in all of the metadata associated with that drill down, and then allows me to organize this in any way that I would like. So if I wanted to create a hierarchy within this report, it's very simple to do so. And then I even have the ability to export this information back to Excel. Okay, you can filter on this information very easily by clicking on the arrows or right-clicking on what metadata is associated with it. And as you can see, it's remembered my selections from last time, so I don't have to basically make those selections every time I drill into the data. So the advantage of that is we're not required to open the client. And so a viewer, even if they don't have a full license to write information into your ERP, they still have the ability to drill down if they have security access to that information. Okay, so how do we create one of these? Well, in the JET world, we actually have a very popular feature called Fast Financials. And what it does is it basically builds the report for me. So when I open up that Fast Financials button in Business Central or in Nav, I'm able to choose what I'd like to include. So I can include variance percentage, or maybe I just want a trial balance. I can include column headers from Excel. And what it's doing is it's reading all of my natural accounts. So it's allowing me to see my entire chart here. So if I click on revenue and I scroll down to the bottom, I can actually build an income statement with a true drag and drop option. So now instead of building this report with functions within Excel, I can just drag and drop this information, and then when the user goes to run it, they have all of these options available to them, including what budget to pull in, what global dimensions, as well as their starting and ending period. So really the only thing missing from this report is the formatting. I maybe would do like a column header for what company that I'm running this report for. But as you can see, none of this was had to be done manually. So I could take sections of this report, maybe just the retail section, and if I wanted to, I could basically move this entire report around as I see fit. Okay, so very quick, very effective way, and as you can see, that's the reason it's so popular, is people don't have to necessarily build this. The other way to build a financial report is maybe we want to add the formatting ahead of time. And so in this case, we have the formatting the way that we want it, and we can simply use another very fast way to access financials called the GL function, and we just simply answer a set of questions. So what I want in this case is the balance. So I'm actually going to cell reference this because I actually have it right above here. For which account, instead of picking one, I'm simply going to grab it from my column. We'll add a starting and ending period, and then we'll simply go to what company we want to see. And you can choose to include information that hasn't been closed yet. This will default to false, but in our case, we're done. We've basically grabbed that information, we pull it over, and we pull it down. And so the reason that we can do that is because we're in Excel, we can simply use cell referencing and change that information as we see fit. And so over here, we would just use Excel to summarize the information, and then we could just drag this all the way down. So as you can see, it's a very flexible and fast way to build reports as well. And that's really the reason it's so popular, is you don't need to have a technical background. You can simply just choose what accounts you'd like to see, date range, company. It's all very straightforward, especially for someone who's familiar with Excel. In Jet Reports, we do have access to all of the information that's stored in Business Central or Dynamics Nav. This is a sales report that has actually, we've chosen to include a graph. And in this particular report, as a viewer, when I run this, we can see we have a lot of options to choose from. Very flexible. So instead, maybe I want to see my top 10 customers. What we're going to see is now our top 10 customers. The graph is updated, and it's a very effective way to use this information on a daily basis. Now, if I was a owner or designer of this report, and let's say I want to distribute this out to my salespeople. I want them to have this report. I want them to have it every Monday morning, or maybe twice a week or every day. What I can do is I can use the report automation feature here in Excel called the scheduler. And what this does is it allows me to choose how often this report is ran, and then who it's sent to, and also in what format. So you may have some users that you just want to send a PDF to. That's totally fine. So we'll say maybe once a week. And then you choose the day and time, so it could actually be ran before you get into the office. You can choose who receives this particular email, or it can be sent to a shared network drive, as well as when I mentioned you could send it as a PDF, you can make that selection right here. Any way you can share a Jet report is the same way you could share an Excel file. And then you can either say run now or schedule it to be ran in the future. You could actually even have a package for your month-end financials that's just sitting here waiting to be ran at the end of the month. The next way to share reports, which is quickly growing in popularity, is the web portal. And it's a web-based interface that allows us to share reports on any device that connects to the internet. So first I'm going to show quickly the web portal. And so in the portal, you basically log in with a username and password. And so we'll go ahead and do that. And within this experience, we're seeing a personalized view for the person who's logged in. So if I own a report, I'll see it, meaning if I created it, or if it's been shared with me, I'll also have access to that report. So if I open up the financial report, you can see we have some here. I open up the sales report, you can see we have a dashboard. If I open up accounting, you can see we have some other reports here. This one happens to be empty, but you can organize these however you want. Now, when I go to run a report, we're going to have the same options that we would have had within Excel available to us right here in the web portal. And so I can run this report, I can view it. When I go to open it, I can use Excel Online or download this to my local machine. So either way is an option. To show you what it looks like in Excel Online, I'll just open this. Oh, let's try that. Oh, no, it's working. Okay. Oh, this is an example from GP, but it's the same idea. This is just a trial balance. And again, any device that connects to the internet will be able to access your reports. Under the Details tab, on each report, you're going to be able to share with specific users or groups of users. You can share with everybody if you'd like. You can see how often this report has been ran. It will store a copy of this report every time it's ran, as well as version control. So if I have multiple versions of this report and I want to maybe do some collaborating and have multiple versions up here, it's very simple to manage that. We also have a scheduler available on the web. It actually works the exact same way as we saw within Excel. It's just a little bit, I would call it more user-friendly because it does walk you through it and looks quite a bit less technical. Okay. So that's really in a nutshell kind of the reporting side of the tracks as far as both viewing reports, sharing reports, creating reports, and really it's an effective way to manage the entire process, especially right here from within the Jet Hub. So the next piece that I'm going to move to is the analytics. So let me pull that up. Actually, I did want to show this piece. So for any users or business owners who are on the line today and you're wondering, okay, if I decide to invest in Jet, what are some of the things that I get day one? Well, under the sample report section here, if I choose Dynamics Nav, which is the same set of reports that we have for Business Central, you can see there's actually 120 pre-built reports and dashboards. So as you scroll through these, you can see there's a lot more that is available to you within Jet than what I'll be able to show just within an hour. And so if you're curious about that, you can head to the website or you can ask Optimus for some of those examples, but there's a lot of information that we've gathered over time. And these were actually reports requested by our end users. So we've created them and we deliver these out of the box the first day that you decide to invest in Jet. And then, so I mentioned the analytics piece. That's where the dashboarding feature comes into play. So in our app picker, you can see we have reports and scheduling, which come with Jet Reports. Jet Budgets is its own add-on. But in the dashboard section, this is where we have access to a high-level visual that allows us to see our KPIs, our trend analysis, and really the things that are driving our most important lines of business, and easily slice and dice the data or swipe through our graphs and charts. And so that's what we're going to be covering next, is how to use the analytics tool and how to build some of this information. So let me pull this slide up. So what is Jet Analytics? So if we were to say in a nutshell what it is, think of it as the fastest, easiest, simplest way to get access to all of your data. It is designed to connect to multiple data sources. We can connect to pretty much any data source that you have, put it in one place, and then allow you to view that information in Excel, in Power BI, or in our own dashboard feature, which you saw online. The advantage for you as a company with Jet Analytics is we've averaged about 1 installation per business day since 2011 of Jet Analytics. It's by far our most popular product. And we've learned over time that really we see a consistency in what people are asking for. And so instead of starting from scratch, you have a pre-built data warehouse and actually 7 pre-built cubes. And for those of you who have not had experience with a cube in the past, it's really, again, going to be the fastest, easiest, simplest way for someone without a technical background to access data from multiple data sources and pull it into an environment that they can analyze that information without you worrying, are they seeing the right information? Because it's very accurate, it's governed, and extremely secure. And that's really what makes it so popular, is those are the most difficult things to manage in a business intelligence implementation. Is if I have multiple data sources and I want them all to be organized, clean, and build in my key performance indicators, my key performance measures, instead of manually building that within Excel, we can actually use the Jet Data Manager, which is a master data management system, to do that for us. And then within the cube, we can use Excel Online, we can use Power BI, we can really use any way we want to visualize data that's available to us. And so at a high level, we're basically going from traditional reporting, and now granted, the reporting tool is the best that we have on the market is Jet Reports, so it does come with that, but we're just moving it into a more optimized environment. And so as you see, I'll go ahead and actually pull up a new example here. And instead of connecting live to the database, we're actually going to go into our cube environment, and I'll grab our pivot table so you can see what cubes are available to you. So we have finance, inventory, manufacturing, payables, purchase, receivables, and sales. So I'm going to use sales. This is actually a combination of Business Central data as well as Dynamics CRM Online. So over here on the right, this is what a cube looks like. For those of you who have not worked with a cube before, it's broken into 2 pieces. The first piece is called a measure, and think of that as your numbers or your key performance measures around your numerical values, so the things like profit. The next section is our dimensions, and so what they're doing is they're adding relevance and context to our numbers. And so it's a very, very simple way for a user to grab large sets of information and analyze those trends to make those quality business decisions. So as I scroll down, let's say, for example, I was tasked with creating a very complex report that included sales, cost, profit percent from multiple data sources, and I wanted to see that broken out over time. I want to know what salesperson is responsible for the revenue. I also want to know what locations are responsible for the revenue, but I also want to be able to compare it to last year and drill all the way back to the transactional data and see everything broken out by my item categories, even down to the individual item level. I mean, that sounds like a mouthful, right? That could take hours to build. With the cube, the reality is it's just a few clicks away. So I can click sales, cost, profit, and profit percent. And as you can see, these are just our numbers. So we want to add relevance to the numbers. So we'll grab all of our items and we'll spread this out over time. And as you can see, we've clicked 6 boxes. We didn't wait for anything to refresh or reload. It was very, very fast and grabbed a large set of information. And then even if I wanted to do something complex like compare this information to last year, you can see we have these performance measures built into the cube. And so it immediately returned that information for me. The next thing that I want to show is you can actually organize this in any level of hierarchy that you want. So if I wanted to get all the way down to the item level, very simple for me to double click a number and immediately get taken to the posted transactions and all of the information associated with that sales order. And again, this is from any data source. We're primarily looking at Business Central and CRM, but it can be any data source that you have. And then I'm actually going to add some slicers in here. So we'll grab our company. We're also going to grab, we said we wanted locations and our salespeople. And so maybe in this case, because of the kind of report that I'm building, it would be useful to see the this represented visually, because there's been studies shown that when you have visual representation of the information, the user is going to absorb this information quite a bit faster. So I'll go ahead and insert a graph here. And so now at this point, I could say, well, you know, maybe I just am managing a certain set of salespeople. And so I can quickly grab those 4, and you can see the graphs updating. It's very straightforward for the user to gain access to that information. Okay? So in a nutshell, that's really what we see our users, at least within Excel off the cube, is that are exploring the information. They don't have to know what table, what field, where this actual information is coming from. They're immediately taken to an environment that's user-friendly, that's simple, that's fast, and we can customize this environment however you would like. Our Jet Data Manager has been benchmarked as 5 times faster than traditional methodology for customizations. So as your business changes, as you grow, maybe you add new systems or you decide to move to a new system, the Jet Data Manager is going to make that 5 times faster, and it's also going to ensure that you never have to rebuild your reports again, because we're using a data warehouse. It's all stored in one place and allows you to easily change those systems without being tasked with rebuilding all of your reports every time. From this example, I'll show you one of our pre-built dashboards is a sales dashboard, same concept. All that we did is we created these little pivot charts, right? And we grabbed the visual, copied it, and pasted it into a dashboard environment. And so now I have more than just one visual, but the same concept is true. I can simply just grab the users that I'm managing and maybe a major product line, and I can immediately see the trends that are driving my business. Like this one here, you can see very easily only one person is selling this major product line. So now as a business, I can actually dive into why that is. And maybe she has some information that would be useful for the rest of the team to know. Again, we have many pre-built dashboards and reports. This is an example of a financial dashboard where we've done the same thing. We use the Finance Cube to create a actual to budget dashboard. This is a great dashboard for any of the folks in accounting running your AR. And so in this case, maybe I am Bart, and I just want to see what's in my 30-day bucket. So it allows us to quickly see what's most important to me for the day. So it's a really effective way to do that. It handles currencies very well. As you can see, we have a lot of different currencies included in this one, but at the end of the day, that's really what makes it effective. Large sets of information and able to quickly analyze and get access to that data. Okay, so I showed earlier these dashboards here where we can actually analyze this information at a high level outside of Excel and in a web-based environment. To build these is actually very simple. It's very, very similar to the experience that we had within Excel. So let me go ahead and open this. Just going to open up. Oh, there we go. So we're actually going to create a new one. And we'll use the sales cube. Again, just because I know that there's good data there. We'll close out of this real quick. Oh. I think that closed out. Give me 1 second here. Let's open that back up. Keep working on it. Okay. Oh. It's kind of odd. Let's try that again. It's not letting me do the full screen here. I want to make sure that you're able to see it. There we go. Okay. So I'm actually going to open up the grid size a little bit, but you can see here in the dashboard builder, you have your visuals in the upper left-hand corner. And then as you scroll down, it's the same exact cube that we saw within Excel. And so for us, this is a true drag and drop environment now. So I just choose what visual that I would like. I drag it into the dashboard builder. I choose what size that I want this graph to be. And then I basically do the same thing with our measures and dimensions. So maybe I want to see sales by salesperson in this particular visual. And then you can customize this. So I'll put sales by salesperson. And then I'll choose, maybe I want the legend at the bottom and I want to see the percentage points. So quickly we were able to customize that visual. The next example I'm going to show is a column chart. But what I'll do is I'm actually going to pull in an example that contains each individual item so I can show you how to slice that down. So we'll grab our profit, and then when we pull all of our items, it's actually going to be a little bit of information overload at first, as you can see here. But if I go to the value section and click on this number, I can simply filter on our top maybe 5 items. And so now we have our top 5 items by profit. Okay. And then a donut chart here in the corner, and maybe this will bring it together. We'll do sales by our item category. So we'll grab our item category first, and then we'll do sales amount. And so we'll say sales by item category. This is actually quite popular with our users. It's called the range slicer. And what it's meant to do is to allow us to have both a visual and a slicer in the same environment. So I'll grab our profit and sales, and then I'll break this out over time. And so you can see it's really quite a nice visual, but then you can slice and dice the information by time just within the visual itself. So we'll call this sales and profit over time. And then the last piece, we'll go ahead and add some slicers in here again. We'll add 3 of these. And so let's say, let me move this up. We'll grab a few different things that would make this information relevant. So we'll add our month in here. We'll add our salesperson, and maybe let's grab all of our locations too. Okay. And then you can name this whatever you'd like. So I'll call this global sales, and we'll make this larger, and we'll bold and underline it. You can move this. Oh, you can move this around. That was weird. And then you can also choose the color scheme. So I really like this color scheme. It really allows the information to stand out for the person viewing this. And then all that I do is I simply save this dashboard. And now when I go back into the Jet Hub and sign in, come back to the dashboard section, and you can see here we now have our sales dashboard that we created. And again, you can zoom into these visuals and swipe through them as you see fit. So really, really effective way to analyze large sets of data very quickly. I mean, that maybe took us 5 minutes to do that. So as you can see, it's, again, really built for someone who just knows what they want, but they don't necessarily know how to combine the information. And that's the advantage of an analytics tool like Jet, is you don't have to know that. So the next thing I want to show is Power BI, okay? So there's a lot of information out there about Power BI. Just so you know, we love Power BI. The reason being is it's very similar to Excel in the sense that it's just a way to visualize information. What it does not bring to the table is a true data set that's built for the average business person. And so you can see here we have our finance cube right here within Power BI. Typically, when you start building a dashboard, there's nothing over here. It's asking you, where is your data? How do I get access to that information? But with our finance cube, or any of our cubes for that matter, building a personnel expense over time is quite simple. We clicked a couple of boxes. So again, the traditional challenge with any of these data visualization tools is there's no underlying security, there's no underlying data model, and it's really left to the end user on how to create these dashboards from scratch. So at the end of the day, we, again, especially with Power BI being as popular as it is, we have many different examples of dashboards that we've created in Power BI. So I'll open up a couple more. We have a inventory example here that's opening up now, which you can see here. And again, you could slice and dice on this information very easily. Here's a sales example. I know we've seen a lot of those. And then I'm also going to pull up a receivables example. So that's a really great one. And the reason some folks choose to use Power BI is they want access to more visuals. Okay, so our dashboard builder is great, but it doesn't have things like the map, right? Like the map is a very popular visual within Power BI. And so some users actually want to take advantage of that. So that's a really key reason why someone would use Power BI with Jet, as well as financial reports or operational reports. Typically, people want to view that information within Excel. So we've covered a lot of ground. There's actually some other examples that I can show, but I did want to pause and see if there was anybody on the line that happens to have any questions or anything that I might be able to answer while we're here within the presentation. So I've opened up the question panel. I'm going to hang tight for a minute or two and see if there's any questions on what we've covered so far. We've covered reporting, distribution, and analytics up to this point. So I'm just going to pause for a moment and see if there's anybody on the line with some specific questions. Okay. Not seeing anything yet. Oh, we had a question here about can you connect to a payroll system? Yes. So most commonly in every analytics installation, we are bringing in HR and payroll information. It's actually one of the largest expenses to any business. And so that is definitely something that we have experience with, as well as Optimus has experience with. And so we can pull all of that information either into its own cube or into the data warehouse, so you can create reporting off of that or make for a more effective budgeting process. All right. Any other questions here? Not seeing anything else yet. Okay. All right. So I'm actually going to build an example here in Power BI from scratch while we wait to see if there's any other questions. And so when a user opens up Power BI, what they're asked for every time is, where's your data, right? So again, it's not a full-on business intelligence solution without Jet Analytics. So when I go to get my data, it's basically saying, okay, what database do you want to pull from? Where is the information that you would like presented? The advantage we have with a cube is when I connect to this data, and mine's actually local, we do have access to our cubes here, so I'll grab the sales one. But as you can see, all of that information is calculated ahead of time, and so I'm just going to choose what visual I'd like to see. So maybe I want to grab my posted sales, actually, so we'll grab sales, and then maybe we'll grab our salesperson again. Come down to salesperson. Okay, so you can see it's exactly the same as we were doing in the other examples. We'll grab a map, actually, and let's see if we can find out maybe where our costs are coming from. We'll grab each location. So it's showing me on the map where the costs are coming from, and you can zoom into the map. It's a really nice feature of Power BI. Then we'll grab like a pie chart. You can do some of the same things we were doing before, where maybe we're grabbing our, again, maybe some revenues by specific product categories, stuff like that. Okay, so as you can see, it's an extremely similar experience to what we were using right within the either Excel add-in or within our dashboard builder. So maybe I want profits and sales, and I want to see that by item categories, right? So it's, again, very user-friendly, very fast, and very straightforward. Okay. So we have about 10 minutes or about 8 minutes or so remaining. I'll still be on the line here for some of the remaining time, just in case folks have any questions or need any kind of clarification. But that's really what I had prepared to show today. We covered reporting, how to distribute reports, what the different types of users are within Jet. We covered the security, and then now we were into both the high-level analytics and how to create dashboards and spot trends. So for those of you who are online today, thank you again so much, and thank you, Optimus, for understanding that this is definitely a need within the marketplace and that you're presenting a very valuable option for those users to have access to. And so as we continue in the future, we'll have some more of these webinars, I'm sure. But again, I'll be hanging out for a few more minutes to see if there's any additional questions. But for those of you on the line today, again, thank you so very much for your time. And hopefully today was a helpful overview of everything that Jet Global can bring to your business.